In this video, we're going to show the Zapier API connection to Quentn, and in the example, we'll connect a Facebook lead form ad to Quentn to create a new contact. And then from there, we'll start building a campaign out for that lead. This will show off the power of Quentn's API. So if we go to Settings, and then we go to API Info, we'll see that we have a number of options up top. And in this video, we're focusing on the Zapier API. And we're going to have our data right here. We'll have our API key and our API URL. Next thing we're going to want to do is log on into Zapier. We'll create a new Zap right here, Zaps. We'll get our trigger set up. In this case, it's the Facebook lead ad, but of course your trigger would be whatever you want it to be sending contacts into Quentn. The important part here is that we're going to choose our action, and then we're going to search for Quentn in the Zapier library. So I start typing Quentn. Quentn shows up, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do as my action. In this case, we're going to create or update a contact. We could run a campaign direct for a contact as well, but I'm going to go ahead and just create the contact, and then I'm going to click the sign in button for the account. Here's where Zapier is going to ask me for the information about the API key and the API URL. So I'll push this off into another screen, and I'll copy my API key. And I'll copy my API URL. And you'll see I now have those copied in here. This should now connect things up in Zapier over on the right side here. And you'll see here it's connected to my Quentn account, the system here with this string. Click Continue. And now I will do the typical Zapier mapping. If you've never built the Zap before, this is pretty easy. You just go ahead and you map over the fields that you want to come over into the Quentn system to where you want them to go. So I'm clicking plus. And then I'll look for my trigger, in this case the Facebook lead ad. I'll click plus and I'll grab the first name, I'll grab the last name, and all the other information that I want to come in. And then I will click continue, and I can click test step, and a contact should be created shortly. And let's go ahead and just make sure this worked out. I'm going to come back into Quentn. I'm going to come back to my contacts page. This is a fresh Quentn account I'm working in. And you can see here the name of this lead is test lead dummy data for first name, which is the test data that Facebook sends over for the test. So it worked successfully, which is great. Now let's talk a little bit about how I may have had this trigger a campaign. So going back into Zapier, you'll see I could have had the option to add a tag to the contact as it came in. So right now there are no tags available. So let's come on back into Quentn, and I'm in the contacts page. I'm clicking tag, and we will just do FB lead form marketing funnel leaks. You just give it any name you want. In this case, this is what I'm working on. So now the tag exists. I can come back into Zapier and refresh the tag list right here. So add tags, refresh results. Hopefully we now find it. There it is. And then I click continue, and I can retest my step. And now it should push the lead in with the tag. And it did. We can see our tag appearing with the contact here. Now, if we want this to trigger a campaign as these leads come in, let's go to our campaigns page here. Let's add a new campaign. We'll give it a title. I'm just going to call this Demo Zapier. Click into my campaign. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my trigger items, the orange panel right here, and I'm going to choose the tags change trigger, double click in that, and I'm going to say when the contact receives any of these following tags, I'd like to trigger this automation. So now we see the tag is the trigger, and then from here we can do all the other actions we would want to do. So for example, we can do our email confirmation, we can do an email series, and a bunch of other actions here available in Quentn. Of course, we can notify a user and just go crazy with our marketing automation items here in Quentn. But the basics are you have your trigger source system. So in this case, it's a Facebook lead form ad. Somebody's filling out a form outside of the Quentn system doing something, and then you have your Zapier connection to push those leads and that contact info into Quentn. And then if you're tagging appropriately, you can be pushing people directly onto Quentn campaigns. There's also the option, I don't want this video to get too long, but there would have also been the option here if I go back to Quentn, I could have directly sent the lead into a Quentn campaign. So right here in our event, in the setup portion of the event, I could do run campaign for contact, click continue, pick the primary email, and then the campaign receive element would be needed here. And we go to our trigger item, receive from Zapier. So I'm going to click and drag the receive from Zapier, double click it there. Our element ID is 60. Click save. And then we can now choose the receive element here, which should exist. There we go. And then continue with the rest of the process to push that contact directly onto the campaign. So this has been a video about how to use Quentn's Zapier API integration. Again, you're going to go to settings and you're going to go to API info to grab the necessary information about the Zapier API. And you're going to build your zaps as you normally would to push people into Quentn as contacts and to get them assigned to campaigns. If you don't already have a Quentn account, head on over to Quentn.com and create one today.